Good morning. I'd like to invite everyone to turn to your hymnal and we'll sing hymn 170. We are a gentle, angry people. Good Mother's Day morning to you all. My name is Anna Franklin, and I'm a member of this Unitarian Universalist Fellowship for the past 20 years. I've been an occasional attendee. I'd like to welcome you all, regardless of your level of self-esteem or lack thereof. No matter what your relationship with your mother may have been like. And regardless of any individual idiosyncrasies, you are all welcome here. I don't know what comes next. The lighting of the chalice. Sorry. Okay. So I'd like to ask Jake to come up and light the chalice for us this morning. And talk about the light and the fire that was kindled in me when I heard the news this week. A light of love and a light of anger. I'm not going to speak too much about what is happening in the Supreme Court, but I just wanted to say that. I would like to say, more importantly, on Mother's Day, as we light the chalice, let's think about the women who birthed us and cared for us and gave us the best years and the best of themselves. Let's be grateful for our mothers and the sacrifices they have made. But let's also remember the joy, the fun, and the comfort which mothers provide. Take a moment to remember the mothers who are no longer with us and those still among us, with gratitude and without judgment. Thank you. And now, acknowledgements. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Anna. My name is Pastor Isabel Call, and it's my joy to serve as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Manhattan, and to have put this service together with so many wonderful people, and especially to work with Anna Franklin on it. So a few announcements as we get going. We will be talking a little bit about the stuff coming out of the Supreme Court. And there's also an opportunity for you all to get together and talk about it, of course, informally, but also the Social Action Committee will be coming together here tomorrow at 11 a.m. So if you want to be a part of crafting a statement from our Social Action Committee, please come and bring your lunch, because conversation might last longer than our bellies. So we're talking about mothering today. Mothering is an act that people of all genders and all ages can do. And so a couple of opportunities to help recreate this community, to offer your mothering to this community. We have our Action Wednesday gathering coming up this week. So this is a chance to be together to create our community and to cook for yourself together with others. Our administrator, Sue Turner, has put up a delicious recipe on our website for lemony polenta. So check out our website and feel free to join us at 6 to cook your meal, and 6:45 on camera. We'll get together and hang out and do some of the work of this congregation. Final announcement. Thank you to Sarah Desmet, who is our host today on Zoom, for everybody, for all of you all joining us on Zoom. And I want to make a special invitation to those of you on Zoom to stick around after the service and chat with Sarah, because we need new hosts. And so we need to have more people who have the capacity to hold that space and create community online, because we know that is just as important to us as the community here in person. So for our acknowledgement this morning, it's our emerging tradition to acknowledge the land that holds us. I feel like that's appropriate on Mother's Day. So many traditions, including those of the ancestors of this land, understand the land to be a mother, and to understand us as children of that land to also have the capacity to mother and care for the land. And so acknowledging that that has not always been honored and respected on that land, we recommit this morning to that work. And then I want to read from the original Mother's Day Proclamation by Julia Ward Howe, who is one of our Unitarian ancestors. This is the roots of this holiday. She wrote, this is just an excerpt: "Arise, all women who have hearts. Whether your baptism be that of water or of tears, say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. So remembering that fierceness, may we all channel those mothers today and moving forward. So now I'd like to invite forward the choir for beautiful piece to get us going today. Thank you, choir. That was fun. So for our time for all ages, I believe we have a video. Is that right, Dan? Yeah. So this, I believe there's an introduction, but this will be a story, The Best Mother.
Welcome to BB Story Time. Do you want to read this book with me? Don't forget to click the subscribe button for more. The Best Mother. Words by C.M. Cerisi. Pictures by Diane Good. Maxine hated to get up in the morning. She didn't like to wash her face or brush her teeth or comb her hair. Maxine was sure a new mother would solve her problems. At breakfast, Maxine's mother asked, "What are you going to do today, Maxine?" Maxine munched her toast. "I'm going to get a new mother," she announced. "Sounds like a good idea," said her old mother. "I'm going to look in the park," Maxine said, "and in the toy store and at the zoo." "You better take your sun hat. It will be hot and bright today," said her old mother. "That is just the sort of thing I do not want my new mother to say," said Maxine. But Maxine didn't know how to get to the park, or the toy store, or the zoo. "Will you take me?" Maxine asked. "I'd be happy to," said her old mother. Maxine and her old mother arrived at the park. "If you were my mother, would you make me pick up all my toys?" Maxine asked. "You bet I would." Maxine thought, "Not that, Mother." "If you were my mother, would you let me bang a drum anytime I want to?" Maxine asked. "No banging drums, no tooting horns. No, Miss Noisy. Thank you very much." Maxine thought, "Uh-oh, not that, Mother." "If you were my mother, would you let me wear my slippers in the snow?" Maxine asked. "Ha ha ha, no." Maxine thought, "Definitely not that, Mother." Maxine and her old mother arrived at the toy store. "If you were my mother, would you buy me this rocket?" Maxine asked. "That rocket is too expensive." Maxine thought, "Well, not that mother either." "If you were my mother, would you buy me this mask?" Maxine asked. "Sorry, I do not approve of scary masks." Maxine thought, for sure not that mother. "If you were my mother, would you—" "Don't touch that, you'll break it." Maxine thought, "Whoa, no way." Maxine and her old mother arrived at the zoo. Maxine watched the animal mothers. The monkey mother picked nits out of her monkey baby's hair. Maxine touched her hair. The elephant mother sprayed her elephant baby with water. Maxine put on her sun hat. The giraffe mother licked the sore on her giraffe baby's neck. Maxine looked at the bandage on her knee. Maxine looked around for her old mother, the one who invented the toss your toys in the box game, the mother who banged a drum in her marching band, and built a moonlight snowman with her while wearing their pajamas and slippers and parkas. The mother who bought her a telescope because she promised to be careful with it, and played hide and seek with her while wearing monster masks. Maxine found her old mother waiting with a balloon and a bag of hot peanuts, and she knew at that very moment that her old mother was the best new mother she could ever have. "Hello," said Maxine's mother. "If you were my daughter, would you want this balloon?" "I am your daughter," said Maxine. "If you were my daughter, would you like these peanuts?" "I am your daughter, Mama." "If you were my daughter, would you want another mother?" "Oh, Mama, don't be so silly," Maxine said. "Oh, Maxine, I'm so glad." "Mama?" "Yes, Maxine. Will it be hot and sunny tomorrow?" "I don't know. Why do you ask?" "If it is, I think we should wear our sun hats."
Here at the UU Fellowship of Manhattan, the offering we receive on Sunday morning goes to a special organization each month. And I now invite forward Melissa Solden, who will tell us about the Boys and Girls Club of Manhattan, which is the recipient of our Helping Hands donations this month. Come on up.
Thank you all for hosting me today and supporting our wonderful organization. What a special day to be here on Mother's Day. And one of my passions is serving tomorrow's youth and our future, or not today's youth, which is tomorrow's future. And so thank you for hosting us and supporting us in May. So hi, my name is Melissa Solden, and I am our Development Director and Interim Executive Director for the Boys and Girls Club of Manhattan. And again, thank you for your continued support with the gift of your Helping Hands offering. When we think about the people each of our organizations serve, the idea of serving all people, no matter what, to be the best versions of themselves through mentorship, programs, and resources that each of us have is something we are very proud of. Here's a little bit about the who Your Helping Hands is helping to serve. At the Boys and Girls Club, our mission is to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens. Here in the Manhattan and Wamego communities, we are proud to be in 12 club sites. One of them will be newly opened this year at Oliver Brown. We serve ages 5 to 18 years old, and in 2021, we served 1,430 members. 206 of those members live in the Wamego community, 1,109 are elementary Manhattan members, and 115 are part of our middle school program. One of our opportunities is to grow our services, and so we are very proud that this summer we are having our first middle school summer programming, where we on average serve around 30 kids per day at our middle school, and we already have 26 kids signed up for summer, so we're very excited about that. In 2021-2022, 30% of our members were who qualified for free or reduced lunches, 26% are from single-parent households, and 11% of our members are from military families. In 2022, we currently employ 14 full-time staff and 120 part-time staff. We are very proud of our partnerships here in the community, with our lead partnership of Kansas State University helping to employ our part-time staff. Part of the impact of our programming is 1,430 total club members are able to access all programs offered by the Boys and Girls Club. So one of our program supports that we are very proud to have done was during these last 2 years, anytime that there was a pandemic need, we were there. Virtual, when the school went to virtual, we opened our doors to serve those kids who were not on their virtual day, and they could come in and have a space where they could go through and do their computer work and have mentors there that help them get on the computer at the right time, have access to technology, and guide them through their programs. Also, just recently in January, when the school closed for a health day, we quickly partnered with the school district, the health department, our national organization, and our local board to ensure that we had a safe place for kids to go when school got called with less than 24 hours. Our doors were open and we had 50 members come and join us that day. And those are some of the things that we are very proud to be able to do. And with your help of the Helping Hands, are programs that we can continue to do. In short, your Helping Hands helps our hands to create today the futures of tomorrow. Thank you for your support of the Boys and Girls Club of Manhattan.
Thank you so much, Melissa. So you can donate online by going to uufm.net and clicking the donate link. Choose the Helping Hands fund, and if you're here in person, any money that's collected in the back will go to the Boys and Girls Club this month. So we'll be listening to beautiful piano piece. I want to invite you to also use this time to share your joys and sorrows. If you're here on Zoom, you can write it in the chat, and Sarah will read it later. And if you're here in person, you should be able to find a piece of paper nearby, write on it, and Anna will come around and pick it up. Thank you, Renee. Zelda's Lullaby. Thank you. So I'd like to invite Sarah to share any joys that came in on Zoom.
Here, we're lucky to have some joys today. It's Babette and Buddy say they're excited to have all of their family together this week to celebrate Nick's graduation.
Lovely. Happy graduation, Nick. Any others, Sarah?
Not this morning. I'll let you know later.
Okay.
One just came in, I noticed.
Well, I'll share. I have an array of joys here. Sylvia offers gratitude to Lindsay Smith for organizing a productive and fun work day yesterday. So a joy with all of the cleaning and beautifying, mothering of our grounds and building yesterday. So Lindsay worked valiantly along with Amelia Richter, Michael Oldfather, Larry Weaver, Katie Kingery-Page, Diane Barker, Ken and Pat Embers, and Dan Bush. And we also remember all the past UUs who set up our beautiful grounds. An ongoing joy. A joy from Betty Banner. From our family, our son Eric was called to become the senior minister of the First Universalist Church in Denver. So yes. Congratulations, Eric and Betty. And our daughter-in-law, Emily, was promoted to full professor at Metro State University of Denver. What a great combination. We have learned that 2 more Afghan families will move into permanent housing this week for a total of 15. 2 new families arrived this week, 6 men have jobs, and 4 of the women are pregnant. So a lot of joy and growth. And then we have a mixed observation from Michael Oldfather, who says, when I was 5 or 6, I asked my mother where babies came from, and afterwards I was careful what she might consider, I was careful to consider what she might answer to my questions. Pretty graphic, all right. So a joy for the direct answers we got from our mothers and our parents. Sarah, did any sorrows come in?
Yes, actually, Jane Pelletier says that Mike Bonella, he's immunocompromised and he is diagnosed with COVID. But the good news is that his symptoms are mild.
Okay. Glad to have that news and sorry to hear it. Yeah, thank you, Jane. We have a note from Harriet Yankee about Vera Longmire. Vera's in the hospital with complications from kidney stones. So thinking of her. Thanks for sharing that information. No, Vera. Am I saying Vera's name correctly? Vera Langmeyer. All right. So holding these sorrows and many more in our hearts, and also the joys, I'd like to invite up Sylvia Beeman, who's going to read us a poem to carry us into some time of silence.
A poem by Andrea Patos. The cardinal reminds me. It sweeps and arcs across my path almost every day on my walk to the cafe. Under sun or cloud, It's red, seeming lit from inside, a brightness bold as the lipstick my mother wore, no matter the day or the time, no matter how close to the end she got, even 2 days before the last. The young, dark-haired nurse applying it for her while I sat nearby, my own lips trembling. From fear or hope, I could not tell. I could not separate anything, and can't now either. The bright flame of this bird recalling me to loss or to joy.
And now please remain in your seats. We'll join together to sing hymn 127, Can I See Another's Woe? In preparation for today's service, I invited members of our congregation to come together and share stories about the women who have shaped them. Several shared about their mothers, their daughters, their sisters. The vast majority was about their moms. And the people who joined us shared the experience that their mothers have all died. So it was a remembrance gathering. And it just struck me how amazing it is to be shaped by someone who is no longer living, to carry their legacy into the world and through the world. So sharing the words of poet Ocean Vuong about his departed mother, he said this recently: "Ever since I lost her, I felt that my life has been divided in only 2 days, if that makes any sense. You know, there's today, where she is not here, and then there's the vast and endless yesterday where she was, even though it's been 3 years since. How many months and days? But I only see it with one demarcation, 2 days. Today without my mother, and yesterday. That's all I see. That's how I see my life now." The women who shaped us are remarkable people, and they shape how we experience the world. And sometimes that becomes even clearer on that second day. So we'll hear about many of those mothers today, and here's one of them now.
So the woman that absolutely had the most influence on my life was my mother. She was born in 1934, Beryl Morley. She was born in Brentwood, England, Brentwood, Essex, England, just outside of London. She was a very quiet and shy unassuming woman. But as I learned more about her, I was amazed. She lived through World War II. She was survived living in one of the most heavily bombed areas. So she lived through the Blitz. She lived through being treated for tuberculosis when she was a little girl and was sent to a TB sanitarium. And when she was 19, she decided she was tired of her overbearing parents. She was an only child. And she got on the Queen Mary and she sailed to America to work. And that's where she met my father. But she was 19 years old and she immigrated to another country. She was a homemaker, but she was a very, very intelligent woman. She was very well read. She read everything that came close to her. And she raised 4 children with an alcoholic husband. She took care of us by herself while my father was in Vietnam for 2 years. And all the times that he wasn't home because he was drinking, she was the one that was there. And she loved us and she protected us like a lion. During Vietnam, she fought off multiple advances from men in the neighborhood. My mother was a very attractive woman. And she made it very clear she was doing this on her own. And she emulated being humble. She never talked about any of these things that she did. And she was never judgmental, no matter what I had done or my brothers or her grandchildren. She always would tell them, everybody gets in trouble sometimes. And then she would just love them.
Thank you, Stacy. So some folks feel uncomplicated gratitude toward their mothers, and others not so much. Gratitude is often mixed with other feelings. Sometimes the gratitude is swamped by other feelings. Whether we recognize it or not, our moms are complicated. So reflecting on our relationships brings the gift of gratitude and other gifts as well. So now I invite forward Sylvia.
I'm going to tell you a couple of things I learned from knowing my mother. To accept others in their entirety for their good points and their shortcomings, and to make most of what you have. My mother was given to perfectionism and unpredictable outbursts of anger, which felt crushing to me as a child. After having a husband and 3 kids of my own and caring for her in the last decade of her life near me here in Manhattan, I came to understand the sources of my mother's anxieties and authoritarian parenting. My mom grew up in Chicago in a family of recent immigrants from Prussian Poland. She had been disciplined with her father's razor strop and thought that taking a hairbrush to our bottoms, knocking our heads together, or slapping us was progressive. Her musician parents, never ones to save money, lost their jobs, their home, and their cherished baby grand piano during the Depression. An empty larder, remade cast-off clothing, and her dad's daily scrounging a few dollars from friends to buy food for dinner contributed to an insecurity that drove my mom to always put up a good front, which included trying to have perfect children. "We are not the crumbs," my mom proclaimed. "Who are the crumbs?" we asked. My mom was an odd mix of insecurity and gutsiness that led her to serve as a Navy nurse in World War II, marry a non-Polish, non-Catholic Southern man, have 4 kids in 4 different states, and become a Unitarian. She stuck her neck out to be involved in church, school, and community, and cultivated friendships with others similarly odd but interesting people. As a Yankee transplant, she struggled against small Southern town mores about race and women, but stayed true to her principles. Mom demanded scholarly excellence, daily piano or violin practice, weekly church attendance, reading, household jobs, and thrift. She tutored us in Latin and Polish, taught us the germ theory, how to cook and clean, sew and embroider, girls only, and to preserve garden produce. We feared her wrath lest we disappoint. Mom didn't suffer whiners or slackers. She had learned young to endure life's challenges in silence and could be insensitive to the hurts of her children, some of her own doing. My mom could also be spontaneous and fun. She could get up a meal or outfit from nothing, loved a car ride or spontaneous picnic, taught us to foxtrot and waltz to Lawrence Welk, took us to a lush woods on hot summer days where we played in a rippling creek while she read a book, taught us card games, told us stories about the olden days, and had a sense of humor even about herself. I credit my mom as the first person to nurture my interest in biology and entomology. When I was 3, she gave me a jar with holes poked in the lid and told me to go outside and catch bugs. My mom was at her best in emergencies. She was a great help and comfort to me when our baby son died, and when my first daughter was born with no hip joints and was casted from her armpits to her ankles. By the time I was a teen, I had learned how to deflect my mom's tirades with humor. By then, she seemed comical in a screaming fit directed at us or our dog tearing up a Kleenex. In memorable incidents, Mom battled recalcitrant inanimate objects, a bent curtain rod, and an uncooperative car windshield visor. My 3 girls thought their grandma's judgmental declarations about femininity and virginity were hilarious. In her last years, I grasped the frustration my mom felt in her failure to tame me as a refined lady. To my dismay and amusement, she would introduce me as, "This is my daughter, Sylvia. She's an artist. She's always been a goofus." My relationship with my mom was challenging, but I was sad when she died, and I often miss her. My friend Elka said, "There's no cause to put mothers on a pedestal. They're just people like us." Mom was quite loving and appreciative toward me in her last years, frequently telling me emphatically that she loved me, something we never heard spoken growing up. I appreciate my mom's efforts to instill good things in me and for the model of her high-spirited determination to forge forward no matter what.
Thank you, Sylvia. Many of the people we're honoring today came of age in the early part of the last century or the middle. A lot was changing in their world, including understandings of women and motherhood, but they were not passive recipients of these changing ideas and culture. They were driving it, they were shaping it. So we have a couple more stories.
And then my sister, Maxine, she's about 11 years older than me. She influenced me, and she became a journalist and moved to New York City at a young age, right after she finished a master's in journalism. And so she would invite me to come, and I'd visit her in New York. And I went to Broadway plays, and so she was very much into theater. We'd go to Shakespeare in the Park, where you'd stand in line most of the day for free tickets. And so she introduced me to the arts and also to the peace movement, because it was during the Vietnam War. And so I would go with her to some of the educational activities for that. So it was quite a meaningful relationship in that regard.
You know, my mother grew up in Western Kansas, and it was a small community, farm community. They really had a lot of focus on the church, but their family was very, they like to discuss things. They like to discuss religion, and they like to discuss politics, and they really did believe in education, except not for women, not advanced degree for a woman. But Mom fought for it, and she got to go to Bethany College for 2 years before she married, and she had 4 kids. And then after the 4 children, she said, "I'm going back. I'm going to get the rest of my degree at Lynchburg." So, of course, the community didn't think that was a good idea. Her parents didn't think it, and she never ever listened to what other people said. And well, she did listen, but as far as deciding, making a decision, it was she and my dad that made the decisions. She didn't let other people put her down and make her do what they thought was best for her family. And that's something I think was a good lesson. You just have to stick up for what you want to do in life. Especially women have to decide that's what they're going to do. When almost all of us were teens, but she had another 5th child and still went back and got her MA. And that again was not, what was she doing? But my dad said, we can raise family. I can take care of the kids. We can at times, but and I'll do my farm work. We'll travel back and forth. We'll do what it takes.
On here, yeah, I love this example of a man supporting a woman to mother. And I love the example too that Tom provides of being brought up by a sister, that we mother each other. Men do the work of mothering. They allow mothers to be full people. Sisters do the work. Good mothering helps shape good men. And men who respect and admire the mothers and other women in their life end up respecting everyone. I think that's a good lead-in for John sharing about his mom.
And she was a painter, an amateur painter, and she painted this of Martin Luther King. And then she's not in this picture, but she knew that is a friend of mine, the only African-American family that was in effect admitted to residency in Brookfield, Illinois, suburb of Chicago in the 50s. And they were very well connected. That's me on right here, obviously, about 10 years old. And that was Branch Rickey. And then the friend of the family, Patty Patton on the right-hand side, the only African-American family that was able to get residency in our community because of what my mother did. When the Pattons bought the house, the neighborhood rose up and tried to evict them and was making plans to do so. And she was there, and she was a professional shorthand writer because she did that work for the federal court in Chicago. And she took shorthand notes of everything that was being said. And they asked her finally, well, what are you doing that for? And she said, well, I thought it'd be important to record what everybody has said here in case these matters go to court. And that, of course, exploded the whole situation, and they had to stop their efforts to keep the Pattons out of the community, and the Pattons moved in, and we became very good friends with them.
So this kind of role modeling, this kind of mothering, role modeling to children about how to mother the world through shorthand or whatever tools you've got, it comes at a high cost. We didn't hear John talking about it here, but his mother wasn't able to return to her career after her political action. But she took it in stride, it seems. She was able to focus her energy on the ways she had accessible to create the world as she wanted it for the next generation. The people who mother us are willing to pay a high cost to do that work. They know how to make sacrifices. They know how to hold the responsibility, the power to make decisions that have huge consequences. The people who mother us have been forged through life experience to hold that responsibility with integrity. So we have a little snip from Kathy here.
A fire in her when she was really young, some injustice, and I don't know what it was, but some injustice done to her lit a fire that she believed everybody should have justice.
That was just a little pause, no singing. So, this is just to keep Dick on his toes. So the people who mother us are forged through life experience to serve as role models. Even those who didn't give birth to us directly have something to teach us when they've done the hard labor of giving birth to themselves.
So I would say both my sisters were survivors, and they taught me to be a survivor. And they taught me, although maybe my family of origin was a certain way, we were raised in poverty. They taught me that I could do and be and become, I could be anyone I wanted to be. And I don't know how I got that message, but it was a beautiful message that still affects me today. And I hope I pass it to my kids.
Pause there for a moment. I wanted to share this segment and so much of what other people shared reminded me of this hymn. Anna and I wanted to put 10 different hymns in this service. This one came to me, and I'm just going to read it to you. These are the words of Fred Small. We have cleared off the table, the leftovers saved, washed the dishes and put them away. I have told you a story and tucked you in tight at the end of your knockabout day. As the moon sets its sail to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends round. You can choose one special one. And only the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. Some girls grow up strong and bold. There are boys, quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some follow behind, some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, and some men love men. Some raise children, and some never do. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible for you.
And I wanted to mention also my daughter, who's about 41 now, has a tremendous impact on who I am. I'm very proud of her, and she's a tremendous role model for me also. She's a writer and very socially conscious. She's the one that suggested I attend UU fellowship, and I'm very thrilled to have her in my life.
Several of the folks we talked to brought up their daughters when asked about the women who shaped them. Now, of course, we're shaped by everyone we allow into our lives. I personally don't know what it's like to give birth or have a child. I don't know what it's like to become a father. But when I think of parenting, I understand it through my experience of being the daughter of a mother. And from my standpoint, we all have our own standpoint on parenting and mothering. From my standpoint, I think there's something particularly potent about giving birth to a daughter. When I think about it, I can explain it biologically. We humans, when we give birth to daughters, they already have eggs formed in their ovaries that may someday be our grandchildren. That's a potent link. But the link is as much social because people socialized as women are given the responsibility to socialize their own daughters to stay safe in a world that is hostile to women. I think I hear mothers of daughters have a particular perspective that's honed through not altogether positive experiences that lights a fire for them to protect their daughters. And so we have a segment here from Anna.
Being born female means the possibility of becoming a mother. And those who are not born female cannot imagine what possessing that possibility in your body is like, knowing that your body could become the vessel for another life is something that you can't imagine unless you know that, As a male, you don't. You know exactly the opposite of that. You know that you cannot become the vessel for another body. Knowing that and having that security puts you morally in a position of responsibility. However, that has been numerous times, as we all know, especially women, the responsibility has not been taken seriously and in fact has been abused.
When a baby is born and seen to be female by those who catch her, she's understood to have the power to bear life. She's raised with the possibility of being called mom someday, whether she wants that or not. Unitarian Universalists cherish the whole child, and we strive to back off on any pressure associated with gender. If you have the potential to bear children or to make another person pregnant, we are here for you to help you hold that responsibility with grace. But as you move into adulthood, it's your choice how to share that potential for life-giving with a partner and with the world. It's our responsibility to support rather than undermine each other's agency. And manipulating each other's choices is a form of abuse. Choices to give life are the most important we have. They face us every day, not just in sex and child rearing. We create our world by how we offer ourselves up to it every moment. This power of creativity, our agency to participate in creative good, our inherent momness, it's fundamental to our humanity. In every conversation, in every breath, how are we available to change and be changed? And when faced with a specific opportunity, a new potential relationship of any kind, a specific offer from the universe of possibilities for how to live our one precious life, when offered a specific invitation to give life and be changed forever, sometimes our answer is no. And sometimes it's yes. A pregnant person is the ultimate expression of the universal human yes. but think also of everything they are saying no to. Not only is a pregnant person saying no to activities they might have enjoyed if childless, and that we can summarize that in the long run 20% wage gap between women with children and women without children. They are also taking on the responsibility to protect that child, which means saying no to all kinds of threats to that child's life and well-being. And that includes threats to their own well-being and ability to offer care. Mothering requires setting boundaries and enforcing them, making hard choices about what to eat, where to go, what to watch, who to allow into your lives. Mothering requires saying yes and saying no. And on Mother's Day, we find gratitude for the ways our mothers' yeses and nos shaped our lives. In this religious community, we honor mothering by people of all genders. And as part of that, we respect the right to say yes and the right to say no. We believe in consent to sex or not, to consent to pregnancy or not. And as Unitarian Universalists, we connect the assault on reproductive health care to patterns throughout our culture that consistently try to take away the power of consent from people with uteruses. We understand it as an expression of patriarchy, which devalues and tries to control non-male bodies, which undergirds the shameful high prevalence of rape and sexual assault. And we connect it to other extractive forces like racism and colonialism that conspire with patriarchy and masquerade as trying to do what's best for the marginalized through exploiting them. If we truly valued them both, meaning mothers and babies, we would have enshrined respect for parents through actual programmatic and financial support for families whose poverty is traumatizing the next generation. But we have neighbors who are fighting against abortion and investing their energy in that, in taking away medical care. And I see that as playing into the same logic behind other profound violations and inequities throughout our nation's history, including enslavement and forced pregnancies of enslaved women, including forced sterilizations and continued gross disparities in maternal mortality, the violence of involuntary family separation through immigration detention, child protective services, and Indigenous boarding schools. Abortion has become politicized not because of the important moral issues it raises, but because politicians discovered that it turns out voters. So that's where I stand, and I know that I speak for many of you. And I've been fortified by the press releases put out this week by the Unitarian Universalist Association's political arm and the UU Women's Federation. Together, we will fight for reproductive justice. This is the fire. This is the no, the fire of no that is essential to mothering. But that fire of no lives with the water of yes. When the news of the Supreme Court's work to dismantle abortion rights surfaced this week, my heart closed around my conviction that their decision was wrong. I know there are many others around the country experiencing that same hardness of heart but around their conviction that the decision is right. So I joined with all of us on all sides of the abortion issue, stewing in righteousness this week. But then I sat down with my hard heart across a Zoom screen from a friend who was born as a girl. They used they, them pronouns. They were born with the knowledge that they might someday bear life. And this friend was not hardened. This friend was devastated and scared and so deeply compassionate for the millions of people who would suffer if abortion became even more difficult in this country. I hated seeing my friend crying. I hated anything that would make them cry. But also I envied them because they seemed so alive in that moment. And I felt so closed off and dead. And in that admiration and love, I felt my heart soften, and I began to feel my friends' fear, their devastation, and their compassion for people whose choices are taken away. And I felt my own pain of being disrespected and undervalued as a woman, and I melted into the stream of solidarity with the billions of other people who experienced that. My love and respect for my friend made it possible for me to be there, simply there, without trying to fix anything, because there are some hurts that simply can't be fixed. I realized in that presence that no matter what injustice happens, if we have each other, we can live through it. We can share life and pass it on. There's a creative force available to us. Some of our judges and policymakers believe that they understand and can control the yes of mothering. They think their rules, their hard hearts are essential to the creation of our world, and they ignore the death and the pain that comes from those rules. But mothering knows pain. Mothering chooses a way through the pain. Mothering asks for help and offers help. Mothering is power and vulnerability. It's the hard work of many painful no's to protect the deep, true yes we know is possible. So that's what I'm celebrating this morning. And thank you for sticking here with me, keeping the conversation. I'm going to end this reflection with some yeses from the conversation I had with many of you. And then after we hear these reflections from Stacy, John, Dixie, and Kathy, I'll invite you to rise in body and spirit for our closing hymn. But let's see these yeses.
My mother never met a dog or a cat or anything that she didn't love. And even if my dad said, we don't need another effing dog in the house, if there was a stray dog with its head sticking through the fence looking at my mother, by God, we had another dog, you know? And she loved nature. She also knew a lot about birds. It was self-learned, you know? And any place they were, she learned about the culture.
Just a brief summary. Again, I learned a lot from my mother in terms of my political values and commitments, but she was also a very good gardener. And I'm gardening right now in the community gardens, and I owe that to her too.
My sisters taught me a love of reading, a love of animals. They taught me about compassion and equality. Neither one of my sisters went past the 9th grade, and they taught me this through example. So there wasn't a lot of verbal rules or guidelines, but rather modeling and watching them grow up and be who they were helped me to become who I am today.
Everybody talked about, or a lot about, being read to or enjoying books and having stories told to you. I bet your older sisters told you stories, Dixie. And I just think how important that was to so many children, and how we all benefited from that as well, from the women that read to us and had imagination, the women who had imagination and resilience. Those words all come out from all of the mothers that and older women or women that we've talked about.
So pause the video there. We'll have just some final closing words from these wise teachers. But let me invite you to rise, embody your spirit. We're going to sing Answering the Call of Love. I would recommend you don't look in your hymnal for this because the words have changed. The words will be up on the screen. And I think we have someone to lead us in singing. You're leading us, Dick, right? Thank you all. Okay, there's sort of a 3-minute closing word, so I invite you to sit for it. And Dan, it starts at minute 13 in our video.
I'm really grateful that my mom and my sisters as role models, and a lot of the women, the strong women I've known, have really taught me that it's okay to not be normal. It's okay to be just who you are. I'm still working on that, but I'm grateful for that.
I'm grateful for everything my mom taught me. She was, in a way, a role model for me, as was my dad. But she made the point that I needed to at least give it a try to meet people and be with people we're interested in, but even others, that see what's good to know and so forth.
Another gratitude I guess I have is the strong women in that community, and the strong men too. The people that my parents came out of had to have been pretty remarkable to go through what they went through and continue.
But anyhow, back to politics again, very briefly. Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing. There's the line, fight the power, fight the power, fight the powers that be. And that's what I learned from my mother.
Right on.
I have one more thing to add really quick. My mom also taught me that even if she had an immaculate house, she had wonderful taste. Everything always looked wonderful, but she taught me, and I brought this home with me. It was one of her things. No matter what your house looked like, it's always okay to have a crazy chicken.
Karen ends our service. Thank you all. Keep talking, keep listening to each other, and go in peace.